devotional service for God consciousness by the process of hearing and chanting has been stressed. And a gross conception of the personality of Godhead in his universal form for the beginners is recommended. So that is where the meditation is, on the universal form. By such a gross conception of God through the material manifestation of his energy, one is enabled to spiritualize the mind and the senses and gradually concentrate the mind upon Lord Vishnu, the Supreme, who is present as the super soul in everyone's heart and everywhere. What was the second chapter? What was the title of the second chapter? Yes, Ramya?
The Lord in the heart.
So where the super soul resides? He is in the heart. So very important, how one can gradually come. See, very important, Prabhupada is giving the gradual development, the gradual process of development of devotional service. How it begins? It begins by the process of hearing and chanting. And with the gross conception of the personality of Godhead in his universal form. So we have the opportunity of Archa Vigraha. So we have the Lord's form. And when one spiritualizes his mind and senses by focusing on the process of hearing and chanting and having relationship or service to the Lord in the form of his Archa Murti, then one is able to spiritualize the mind and senses and gradually concentrate the mind upon Lord Vishnu, who is present as the super soul in everyone's heart and everywhere. Hari Sarvatra Sarvada, in every atom of the material universe. The system of Panch Upasana, recommending the 5 mental attitudes for the common man, is also enacted for this purpose, namely gradual development. So please be very attentively note that how the progress will happen. It will happen only gradually, not abruptly. It will not be akasmat. One fine day, everything was changed. No. That is why bhakti is anushilanam, cultivation. Cultivation means step by step. Namely, gradual development. Worship of the superior, that may be in the form of fire, the sun, the mass of living beings, Lord Shiva, and at last the impersonal super soul, the partial representation of Lord Vishnu. They are all nicely described in the 2nd chapter. But in the 3rd chapter, further development is prescribed after one has actually reached the stage of Vishnu worship, of pure devotional service. And the mature stage of Vishnu worship is suggested herein in relation to the change of heart. The whole process of spiritual culture is aimed at changing the heart of the living being in the matter of his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord as subordinate servant, which is his eternal constitutional position. So with the progress of devotional service, the reaction of change in the heart is exhibited by gradual detachment from the sense of material enjoyment, by a false sense of lording it over the world, and an increase in the attitude of rendering loving service to the Lord. Vidhi bhakti, or regulated devotional service by the limbs of the body, namely the eyes and ears, the nose, the hands, and the legs, as already explained herein before, is now stressed herein in relation to the mind, which is the impetus for all activities of the limbs of the body. So obviously, what has to change? How the heart has to change? The conception, the perception, and the desires and aspirations of the mind has to change. And how it will come out? It will come out only when one is engaged in rendering devotional service. Ahetuki apratiha. Is now stressed herein in relation to the mind, which is the impetus for all activities of the limbs of the body. It is expected by all means that by discharging regulated devotional service, one must manifest the change of heart. So what it means to have change of heart? In more relatable words or in practical terms, what it means that by performance of devotional service, there should be change of heart. Suddenly from the heart being blackish, it will become whitish. Can we see that? So there is change of heart. The color has changed. What it means that the change of heart will be there. Hare Krishna, Sonika, where are you? You are hearing, Sonika?
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji in metro.
Metro. You didn't go to Ramya Mataji's place?
Prabhuji on the way.
Oh, okay. For Ekadashi, we should take some little, sacrifice. You could sacrifice work for little time. Anyway, okay, fine. You are on the way. So how we will experience change of heart? What it means that there should be gradual change of heart in terms that we can measure that how there is change of heart. How can it be quantified? Our strength has become very less now. Kuber is not joining. I don't see him joining for last almost more than a month. He does not come in the morning also for chanting? Never. Again, he has gone in his own ways. Yes, Ramya or Dayāśīl Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, as you told that our desire has changed, also our priority has changed, Prabhuji. Our priority has changed to serve the Lord, and we are really putting some effort towards that. Not only, only desire, but we are putting some effort. We are doing some practical service.
Yeah. Our thinking, willing, and feeling. Prabhupada says that three things. Our thinking, willing, and feeling should change. If these three things are changing, then there is definite change in the heart. And if it remains the same, then there is no change. Of course, thinking means that we are thinking that spiritual life is more valuable, is more priority than other things of this material world. And we are feeling also that this is my duty or this is my responsibility. So until that feeling is there, then that aspiration or that impetus does not come to perform. So with thinking comes feeling. And when this thinking and feeling is there, then it will translate into activity, action. Then one is willing. That means one is convinced. To the extent one is convinced, one will change. Otherwise, there cannot be a change. The whole process of spiritual culture is aimed at changing the heart of the living being in the matter of its eternal relation with the Supreme Lord as a subordinate servant. So this is the thinking that I am servant. My position is to serve, which is the eternal constitutional position. So with the progress of devotional service, the reaction of change in the heart is exhibited by gradual detachment from the sense of material enjoyment, by a false sense of lording it over the world, and an increase in the attitude of rendering loving service to the Lord. Okay. Vidhi bhakti or regulated devotional service by the limbs of the body, namely the eyes, the ears, the nose, hands, and legs, are already explained herein before. Is now stressed herein in relation to the mind, which is the impetus for all activities of the limbs of the body. It is expected by all means that by discharging regulated devotional service, one must manifest the change of heart. If there is no such change, the heart must be considered steel frame, for it has not melted even when there is chanting of the holy name of the Lord. So all the acharyas, they pour their feelings and their devotional sentiments. Hari Hari Vifale Janam Gonai. And one is not able to exhibit this change, although they are already changing. Golokera Prema Dharma, Harinama Sankirtana. But what is my situation? Rati na janmilo kyun. There is no attraction for it. Vinodam Das Thakur says. Why? Because the heart must be considered to be steel frame. For it is not melted even if there is chanting of the holy names of the Lord. That means there is a lot of offense also. You must always remember that hearing and chanting are the basic principles of discharging devotional service. And if they are properly performed, there will follow the reactional ecstasy with signs of tears in the eyes and standing of the hairs of the body. These are natural consequences and are the preliminary symptoms of the bhava state, which occurs before one reaches the perfectional stage of prema, love of God. If the reaction does not take place, even after continuous hearing and chanting of the holy name of the Lord, it may be considered to be due to offenses only. That is the opinion of the Sandarbha. Sandarbha is the Shat Sandarbhas by Srila Jiva Goswami. In the beginning of chanting of the holy name of the Lord, if the devotee has not been very careful about avoiding the 10 kinds of offenses at the feet of the holy name, certainly the reactions of feelings of separation will not be visible by tears in the eyes and standing of the hairs on the head. So this is the root cause. Why those feelings are not coming? That is feelings of separation. That viraha bhav is not there due to various offenses. The bhava stage is manifested by 8 transcendental symptoms, namely inertness, perspiration, standing of hairs on end, failing of the voice, trembling, painless of the body, tears in the eyes, and finally trance. The Nectar of Devotion, a summary study of Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, explains the symptoms and vividly describes other transcendental developments, both in steady and accelerating manifestations. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has very critically discussed all these bhava displays in connection with some unscrupulous neophytes, imitating the above symptoms for cheap appreciation. Not only Vishwanath Chakravarti, but also Srila Rupa Goswami has treated them very critically. Sometimes all the 8 symptoms of ecstasies are imitated by the mundane devotees, Prakrit Sahajiyas. But the pseudo symptoms are at once detected when one sees the pseudo devotee addicted to so many forbidden things. Once, Srila Prabhupada, when he was spreading the Krishna consciousness movement, in just early days, 1967 in San Francisco, Prabhupada opened the second center after New York. He traveled to San Francisco, where Mukunda Prabhu and Janki Mataji opened the center. So there the devotees arranged for one rock show, Hare Krishna Mantra Rock. And of course, Prabhupada had gone there. So there was a lot of curiosity, and it was very well received. It became a very popular hit, Hare Krishna rock concert. So many people imitated, and surprisingly, some Indians also appeared on the stage. And one group of Indians, they also organized something on the same lines. And these people, they were also from Bengal. They had come to America and they were trying to propagate. And one of them was showing such symptoms as if he is Lord Chaitanya himself. He is the incarnation of Lord Chaitanya. The 4 people, and they were having a dog. Mukund Maharaj, in his book, Miracle on the 25th 2nd Avenue, he has written this pastime. So they came and they gave free tickets. Prabhupada had already left after the rock concert. This is after Prabhupada left, and it became a big hit. And the hippies in San Francisco, they started following the Hare Krishnas. So others also tried to imitate what Srila Prabhupada did and what the devotees did. So they also organized a similar kind of concert, trying to imitate and get, some cut of the pie. So they gave 4 of them came to our San Francisco center, and they invited the devotees to come and see their rock show. So Mukunda Prabhu at that time, he had gone with one more devotee to see what they were doing. And after coming back, they reported to Prabhupada. That Prabhupada, they were all posing as if they are Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was dancing and falling as if he is exhibiting the ecstasy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Prabhupada said, you should have tested him by kicking him on his face and saying, my dear Lord Chaitanya, you have come here in USA. So this imitation, Prabhupada is saying, these are Prakrit Sahajiyas. They were actually the Prakrit Sahajiya. There is 13 of Sampradayas which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur identified. And one of them is Baula. So they were from that Prakrit Sahajiya group of Bauls. But the pseudo symptoms are at once detected when one sees the pseudo devotee addicted to so many forbidden things. What was the forbidden thing? They were having their dog in their lap and patting the dog. Even though decorated with the sign of a devotee, a person addicted to smoking, drinking, or illegitimate sex with women cannot have all the above mentioned ecstatic symptoms. But it is seen that sometimes these symptoms are willfully imitated. And for this reason, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti accuses the imitators of being stone-hearted. They are sometimes even affected by the reflection of such transcendental symptoms. Yet, if they still do not give up the forbidden habits, then they are hopeless cases for transcendental realization. When Lord Chaitanya met Srila Ramanand Rai at Kovur on the banks of the Godavari, the Lord developed all these symptoms. But because of the presence of some non-devotee Brahmanas who were attendant of the Rai, the Lord suppressed these symptoms. So this is where, for the first time, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Ramanand Rai met. So Lord suppressed these symptoms. Why? Because there were so many Brahmanas there. They could have misunderstood. So sometimes they are not visible even in the body of the first-class devotee for certain circumstantial reasons. Srila Prabhupada always suppressed such symptoms. Therefore, real steady bhav is definitely displayed in the matter of cessation of material desires. Shanti. So at the bhava stage, I just recently took one session of our brahmachari devotees. So we discussed this 8 symptoms. So what are these 8 symptoms? The first is Shanti. And surprisingly, Shanti is not just peace, it is tolerance. And it also means Shama. And the second aspect is Avyarth Kalatva. So the emotions which invoke bhava, it is mentioned in Jai Vidhar by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I'm not recommending you to study all that, just here, because this has come. So I'm just sharing So these are the 8 symptoms. The first is Shanti, and the second one is Avyarth Kalatvam. You know Avyarth Kalatvam. A devotee does not want to waste even a moment, which is not related to Krishna. And third is Virakti. Fourth is Virakti means detachment from and distaste from everything which has no connection to Krishna. And fourth is Mana Shunyata. He remains prideless and he has no aspiration to receive reward and honor. And the fifth one, I discussed fifth one there in the session, that is Ashabandha. Ashabandha is that convinced that Krishna will surely shower his mercy. So he has great hope. Prabhupada is talking all about it. Let us see in the purport. Therefore, the real steady bhav is definitely displayed in the matter of cessation of material desire, that is Shanti. Utilization of every moment in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. It is called Avyarth Kalatvam. Eagerness for glorifying the Lord constantly. Nama Gane Sadaruchi. This is the seventh item Prabhupada is mentioning here. And attraction for living in the land of the Lord. Pritis tad vasati stale. That is to stay in the dham. And complete detachment from material happiness, this is Virakti. And pridelessness, Manya Shunyata. And there is Samutkantha. Utkantha. Intense eagerness and enthusiasm to serve. So these are the 8 symptoms. Prabhupada is talking about it in the Madhya Lila. These verses are there. So one who has developed all these transcendental qualities is really possessed of the bhava state. Then those symptoms it is developed. When these qualities are developed, then those symptoms will also manifest. As distinguished from the stone-hearted imitator or mundane devotee. The whole process can be summarized as follows. The advanced devotee who chants the holy name of the Lord in a perfect offenseless manner and is friendly to everyone can actually relish the transcendental taste of glorifying the Lord. And the result of such realization is reflected in the cessation of all material desires, etc., as mentioned above. The neophytes, due to their being in the lower stage of devotional service, are invariably envious. So much so that they invent their own ways and means of devotional regulation without following the Acharya. Is very, very important. And also Srila Prabhupada is saying. But this is our disease. The neophytes, because we are in the lower stage, we are affected by the modes. So what is the disease? The disease is of enviousness, Dvesha. And how it is visible or how it manifests? That we try to invent our own ways and means of devotional regulations without following the acharyas. As such, even if they make a show of constantly chanting the holy name of the Lord, this is what is there. You ask those who have stopped coming and associating and hearing, you ask them, Mala अच्छी चल रही है प्रभु जी, मैं रोज 16 माला करता हूँ, चल रहा है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, everything is nice. See what Prabhupada is exposing. How Prabhupada is exposing such neophytes. So Prabhupada is saying, as such, even if they make a show of constantly chanting the holy name of the Lord, they cannot relish the transcendental taste of the holy name. Therefore, the show of tears in the eyes, trembling, perspiration, or unconsciousness, etc., is condemned. They can, however, get in touch with the pure devotee of the Lord and rectify their bad habits. This is the disease. What is the disease? The disease is their bad habits, and they want to preserve it. Otherwise, they will continue to be stone-hearted and unfit for any treatment. If they don't submit, then they will remain unfit for it. That means they cannot be rectified. A complete progressive march on the return path home back to Godhead will depend on the instructions of the revealed scriptures directed by a realized ego. Prabhupada is giving the conclusion. How the progress and how one can return home back. This is what it means, as Purushottam Prabhu that day discussed. He gave the answer. And what it means to have the dust of the lotus feet on one's head. Prabhupada is saying here, a complete progressive march on the return path home back to Godhead will depend on the instructions of the revealed scriptures directed by a realized devotee, not by one's own effort. That is just not possible. This is the final verse of this chapter. Atha videhi angamano anukulam प्रभाषसे भगवत प्रधाना यद अह वैयासकीरात्म विद्या विशारदो नरपतिम साधु पृष्ठः. O Sud Goswami, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please therefore explain this to us, as it was spoken by the great devotee Shukdev Goswami, who is very expert in transcendental knowledge and who spoke to Parikshit Maharaj upon being asked. So they want to further hear what was the discussion. And he says that your words are very pleasing to our hearts, to our ears, to our mind. Knowledge explained by the previous Acharya like Shukdev Goswami and followed by the next line, Shuta Goswami, is always powerful transcendental knowledge. And it is therefore penetrating and useful to all submissive students. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the second canto, third chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Pure Devotional Service, the Change in Heart. Hare Krishna. So if we have any question or discussion or something to share on these three chapters that we discussed, please ask. We did not discuss much actually. No inquiry made and not any much discussion also happened in these three chapters. Heavy. All these three chapters is talking heavy about those who are not in the process of devotional service. And this chapter directly says that they are living is of no use. They are as dead bodies. Yes, Ramya.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी मेरा एक डाउट तो नहीं, मुझे थोड़ा क्लैरिफिकेशन चाहिए। सेकंड चैप्टर के 17 नंबर वर्स में एक वर्ड है प्रभु जी, लब्धोपशांति, उसका मीनिंग क्या है?
आप वर्ड मीनिंग में देख लो।
वहां पे लिखा नहीं गया है प्रभु जी, पॉपट में श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेशन में लिखते हैं।
अच्छा, तो फिर परपोर्ट में करना पड़ेगा। अभी देखते हैं 2:17।
जी प्रभु जी। प्रभु जी ट्रांसलेशन का फर्स्ट लाइन।
एक सेकंड। हाँ, in the transcendental state of Labdho-Pashanti, there is no supremacy of devastating time which controls even the celestial demigods. So this verse is in the connection to Ayuvarti Vapumsa. 1 minute, let me see the reference. No, Labdho-Pashanti, see, that is the process of how the advanced yogi, he attains the perfection. So it is saying here that here, last two verse, Labdho Prashanti is here in 16th verse. You see? देख रही हैं आप 16th verse?
जी प्रभु जी, जी प्रभु जी।
Labdho Prashanti दिया हुआ है। Labdha Prashanti, one who has attained full bliss. Actually, Labdha means one who has got the benefit, Labha. And what is the Labha? Upashanti, of complete peacefulness. That means full is in a state of trance, is in a state of bliss. How he does that? That is explained here. You see, O king, whenever a yogi desires to leave this planet of human beings, he should not be perplexed about the proper time or place, but should comfortably sit without being disturbed, and regulating the life here should control the senses by the mind. Now what is this? It is the Ashtanga Yoga. Thereafter the yogi should merge his mind by his unalloyed intelligence into the living entity. That is, his winding up the gross into subtle. Mind into the intelligence, and intelligence into the living entity, that is the Atma. And then merge the living entity into the super self, that is Paramatma. And by doing this, the fully satisfied living entity becomes situated in the supreme stage of satisfaction, so as to cease from all other activities. See, Prabhupada is talking about these three activities. The functions of the mind are thinking, willing, and feeling. So read them again. Yeah, understand them. That this is the pure unalloyed state. The living being attains this stage of full bliss, Labdho Prashanti, and ceases all material hankerings. Okay.
जी प्रभु जी और एक जो 21 नंबर वर्स के ट्रांसलेशन में यहाँ पे तो सारे षट चक्र योगी के बारे में डिस्क्रिप्शन किया गया है, और ये ट्रांसलेशन में thereafter the bhakti yogi.
Wait. This is what I read again. How this progress, gradual progress happens. The first thing what Srila Prabhupada said, this is what I read. You see, again read the purport of the 24th verse. क्या प्रभुपाद जी लिख रहे हैं? पढ़िए, अभी क्लियर हो जाएगा। 2-3-24 का purport पढ़िए।
We should note with profit that in the first 3 chapters of the second canto, a gradual progress of development of devotional service is being presented.
Yes.
In the first chapter, the first step in devotional service of God consciousness by the process of hearing and chanting has been stressed, and a gross conception of the personality of Godhead in His universal form.
Yes.
For the beginners is recommended.
So that is how it will not directly go to the personal form. So how it is progressing, that when it takes to the process, of course this is a pure process, so it will elevate very fast. But normally for a neophyte, he cannot have the spiritual conception. So for him, some gross conception is required. So the universal form. That is why we have Archa Vigraha. We see the Lord and then we bow down to him. We accept him as the authority. We offer tulsi and flowers to him. We offer bhoga to him. So we begin services to him. So where is the ashraya? Where is the dhyan?
In Lord.
In the universal form. Okay. And when, as this is what Prabhupada is saying in the purport, and when one's mind and senses is purified by his performing devotional service, then what he can see? What is the next statement? He can see the super soul in the heart.
Ji.
So the Dhyana Ashraya is where? The Dhyana Ashraya is on the Paramatma. So he has, from neophyte, where he has become From Kanishta, he has become Madhyama.
Madhyam.
Okay. And finally,
जी
he has to
प्रभु जी.
become Uttama. And how he will become Uttama? When he performs devotional service, pure devotional service. So complete transformation or change of the heart, then he can see the Lord. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadev Hrideshu Vilopya. Then he does not see Paramatma. What he says? Yamasham Sundaram Achinte Guna Swarupam. Govindam Adi Purusham Mahamudam. That is why we have very good. You are reading, but our reading has to become even more attentive and deeper. Everything is there in Prabhupada's purport. Nothing new I am sharing with you. Okay. One devotee wrote very nice statement. He said, if you want to become a leader, first become a reader of Srila Prabhupada's purport. Otherwise, this is of no use. It is all bogus. Prabhupada's purport is having such depth and such clarity. Drive on it. Just by reading once is not sufficient. Okay, are we clear? Crystal clear? Willful crisp clear? Hare Krishna. प्रभुपाद ने पूरा समराइज कर दिया, दोबारा समराइज कर दिया हमारे लिए समझने के लिए. यम लब्ध्वा चा परम लाभम मन्यते नाधिकम ततो. This is the verse in the fifth chapter. Very beautiful verse. It says that a yogi sixth chapter, sorry, not fifth, sixth. Yogi is sixth chapter. Yeah. 22 to 23 verses. The first is saying that how he meditates and then what he gains. 26th, second verse is saying the gain. Yam labdva chaparam labham manyante adhikam tata yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalaye. Then tam vidyad dukh samyoga viyogam yoga samanitam. Established thus, one never departs from the truth. And upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. There is no greater gain. That is the greatest gain. That is Labdhopashanti. You ask for what is this Labdhopashanti? This is the Labdhopashanti. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from the material contact. That is Labdhopashanti. Okay? Hare Krishna. Thank you for asking based on studies. And you studied the purport. Hare Krishna. Pradeep, you don't do a study at all. You don't find any time to revise or read or review. I appreciate that you are very sincere in attending sessions, hearing, but it has to be backed up by some study. Study is required. If there is no study, our hearing is not hearing from the heart directly. We are in Kali Yuga. The conceptions will not go in the heart unless and until we make some extra effort. You see now, with Ramya Mataji asking this question, all 3 chapters are summarized again in 5 minutes. So if you don't study, then very difficult to get any benefit. Here Prabhupada is saying again, we saw in one of the purport where he is saying that they try to develop their own ways of devotional service. That will not give any benefit. So the process is first hear, then read, then write, then repeat. Please write it down. Hear, read, write, repeat. What it means to repeat? Again hear, again read, again write. Then you can go in some understanding of what the subject matter is. Otherwise, it will never open up. It will not open up. You're following? So at least give some 15 minutes. Even if you give 15 minutes a day, every day, it will be great merit. Things will become very clear. And the intelligence will become very sharp to catch the concepts, the spiritual concepts. Otherwise, very difficult. It is with all of us, including me. No one is spared. If following, you wrote one writer, but there is some correction. And somehow, well, what should I say? It's my fault. I didn't find time. I was thinking that on the laptop I will sit, and where the correction is required, I will, highlight it and send it to you. But I didn't find some time. My request is here again. If you hear that lecture again, what you have written, you will yourself detect where are the corrections required. It's difficult. We cannot catch in one session. You may be amazed. My Bhagavad Gita lectures, many lectures I would have heard 10 times, 12 times, even some 50 times. It requires a lot of patience and a lot of depth of relationship to hear any lecture so many times. Normally the mind will rebel. It will not allow. It will say, I have heard it, I know it. What is there new? What is there to hear again? But if you really want to get into the spirit, then you have to really align the heart. Mahaprabhu used to hear the charitra, the character of Dhruva and Prahlada more than 100 times from Gadadhar Pandit. Again, we will hear the story of Prahlada. What is there to hear? Everything you know. But this is the process. This is what we are seeing everywhere. This is how the verse is, this is how the chapter is ending. Again, he's saying, you give me full details to what was the conversation between Shukdev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. What else is he explaining? Sutta Goswami, what else is he speaking? He is speaking only what was discussed between them. But at the end, you see, again he is asking. They are again asking. Vayam Tona Vitta Prayama. That there is no cessation in the heart. That means what? The real thirst has developed in the heart to hear. Why? Because it is giving so much of relishment. It is giving so much of nectar. Pibanti ye atmana bhagavata satam. Then kathamritam shavaneshu utanti samritam. You memorize the verse, but get into the spirit of it. When you will get into the meaning and feeling of it. That is by practice, by cultivation. Why? What has to happen? Punanti te vishaya vidhushitam ashaya. That is to happen. Only when we become distasted by the pleasures of this material world. Punanti te vishaya vidhushitam ashaya. Vrajanti te charana saroruhantitam. What a beautiful verse. When that day will come, when we will even desire to apply this verse in our life. So reading is required. Hearing, reading, writing, repeating. Then you should find someone to speak and share. Krishna will send. Of course, you must have the aspiration. If you don't have the aspiration, then it will never happen. So that is important. All of you should by now be having your own groups to preach and share your heart, what you are receiving. Okay. So for tomorrow, being Nirjala Ekadashi day, actually tomorrow is Dwadashi. Many people observe Ekadashi today. So many times you will be wondering, our mind starts, giving us wrong signals that क्या बात है, ISKCON में सब कुछ अलग ही होता है क्या? I went out today, I went to Sarita Vihar to change the dress of Lord Jagannath. I found so many people distributing so many things, bhandaras. Most of them are observing Ekadashi today. Today is Ekadashi, but Dashmi is intercepting Ekadashi today. It is not pure. Tomorrow is Dvadashi, but there is no trace of Dashmi. It's pure. So we'll be observing tomorrow. You know why we observe sometimes on the day which the other people are not observing? Because Ekadashi, when the Brahma Muhurta comes, the Dashmi should not be there. No trace of Dashmi should be there. Then the Ekadashi is not pure. That is why we are observing tomorrow. Okay. So what is the resolution? At least 64. For those who have done 64 before, they should at least target 108. How many of you will attempt for 108? Ramya is bold. She will attempt. Others don't even want to attempt. So what will they complete or accomplish? What is the difficulty? Take off from when I went to Dubai. Once I was there in Dubai during one Ekadashi. Of course, that was Gita Jayanti day. So the devotee who came to pick me up, he told me, Prabhuji, I take my office leaves on 2 days in a month. And both the days are Ekadashi. Other days I work. I preserve my leave for the day of Ekadashi. Because this Ekadashi is Hari Vasare. This is the day belonging to Lord Hari. Hari Vasas. Hari resides on this day. And Hari Kirtana Vidhan. I'll speak about it tomorrow morning. I have class here, Radha Parsati temple. So we should observe it very sincerely. Anukulasya sankalpaha. There should be sankalpaha to observe it. And pratikulasya varjana. And all that which is harmful for our Krishna consciousness, that we should give up, we kick it out from our life. It is all waste. So, अब की बार 108 बार. Okay. जल्दी सो जाओ और ज्यादा खाना नहीं रात में. Of course, I mean, you all know, you have been observing for so many years. Yeah. And the more you chant, actually the recommendation for observing Ekadashi is, Prabhupada said, no sleeping, no eating, and only chanting. At least once in a year we have the opportunity to do that. Other Ekadashi we don't do that. We never ever think of doing that. But this is the only Ekadashi when there is a possibility of no eating and no sleeping. Hardly there is a sleep also. When there is no eating and no drinking, the sleeping is also very less. And Prabhupada said 24 hours chanting. So how it can become closer to 24? When we try 108. That is, try this once in a year. And we please Lord Chaitanya and we purify our own existence. Thank you very much. Sonika, you did not reach so far. It is 9:30. Hare Krishna. कहाँ तक पहुंची आप? Cannot hear you. Anyway, I hope you can reach before 10 and take a rest. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the Assembled Guru.